Aloha, beautiful resilience family. I was inspired by so many of you in your recent posts and some of the things that you've shared. Specifically, I loved the Forgiveness Friday and Gina's comment about what else could this mean, and something that I had mentioned earlier that comes from a number of wisdom traditions, including both the Course in Miracles and Neil Donald Walsh's Conversations with God. And a couple things I wanted to share with you guys. Last night, I was at a beautiful Huna gathering, and we were talking about a variety of things. And one of the topics that came up was this idea of, there's only one of us here. And I started to put some of these ideas together. And of course, I wouldn't be the first person to do this. And I just thought, well, this was a train of thought I had, so maybe I'll share it with you. Aloha, Rick. So beautiful to have you here. So in the spirit of forgiveness, I am tonight doing a pretty profound thing, in that I am doing a ceremony with a number of my sisters in bringing an aspect of my life that's been a big part of my life to completion, and doing that in a way that is with gratitude and love and certainly, of course, forgiveness. So it's a ceremony in severing ties. It's a ceremony in forgiveness and coming to completion, and ultimately unbinding soul agreements that might have been made in past lifetimes, or soul agreements made in this lifetime, to ultimately relinquish oneself from potential soul agreements in future lifetimes. So in thinking about that for tonight, what came to me was the conversation that we had last night at the Huna gathering, and this idea of how can we make forgiveness easier. And a couple things came to mind with regard to how we can forgive others and forgive ourselves with greater ease. And part of that is this notion that there is only one of us here. And I know that can sound kind of like woo-woo and out there, and many of you in this group are pretty woo-woo and out there, so congratulations for being here. And if you consider that there's only one of us here, that we are all individual expressions of one source, but that really we're all so inexplicably interconnected, then when you forgive someone else, you're forgiving yourself. What you do to another, you're doing to yourself. What you do for yourself, you're doing for others, and so on. And if you find yourself in a position where you forget that, then bringing in the concept that Gina so eloquently shared with all of you the other day, which is, what else could this mean, allows us to shift our perspective in the moment when we're in the thick of it, like she was, to vibrate at a higher level, right? To go, what else could this mean that would serve me? How else could I look at this perspective that would allow me to see that person for what they really are, for who they really are, which is an incredible being of light, having a human experience, as Rick has so beautifully, eloquently said, a divine being having a human experience. And that you can look at them and see their light, that you can see their higher self in that moment by simply asking, what else could this mean? And shifting your perspective. That you could then, in doing that, allow yourself to gain a greater level of both insight, learning, and awareness. And as such, allow that opportunity, that moment that came up for you, to be just another way that you're moving down your path and being a beautiful expression of the light that you are, and finding the interconnectedness with you and that other person, and the soul agreement that y'all made before you got here, because you all came from the same source. That's what's allowed me, anyway, in these moments of incredible human I don't know, I don't want to say difficulty, but in my human moments of forgetting, who I am, forgetting who that other person is, and getting wrapped up in this little human dance that we're doing within the context of this beautiful cosmic realm that we're in, that the idea of what else could this mean? There's only one of us here, and what is there to learn allows us to forgive and come back to ourselves, to come back to our center, to come back to the truth of who and what we are. And that's what I intend to do tonight. And that's what I invite all of you to do as a means of making forgiveness and ultimately returning home that much easier. That's what I got for you. That's what happens when I just sit around and hear your beautiful posts and hear your beautiful shares, and I start to go, how can we thread that all together? And this is what came up. So I hope that that you all continue to express your light and your love and your insights and your wisdom, because you're all so amazing, and that you continue to get value out of just being here, even if you're just observing. Yeah, Rick says, let's go home. So you are home, sugar. There's nowhere to go. I love you too. And thanks for being here. And thanks for making my life and my being here so much more meaningful, each and every one of you. Reminder, tomorrow, 6 p.m., Facebook Live, I'll share with you the 7 pillars of resilience. If you feel like there's someone in your life that might benefit from that conversation, feel free to invite them into this group. Even if I'm not Facebook friends with them, invite them in and I'll approve them so that they can see that. And of course, I'll be sharing with you all the ebook that I created to be sort of a workbook for that process. Anyway, wishing you all a continued beautiful day. Lots and lots of love with aloha from my heart to yours. Namaste and ahui ho.